You are tone deaf, and it's costing you millions. It has nothing to do with your ability to sing or to play any instruments. I don't care about that. I'm actually talking about your business, about your brand, about the money that you are wasting every day without even realizing it. I've been making music for the last 10 years. I started playing guitar when I was about 10 years old. And I coached a lot of people how to make music, how to manipulate the sound. I spent a lot of time doing that, actually mastering the art of sound. And I understood something big lately, which was like a really big revelation, really big discovery, I would say. 99% of entrepreneurs, founders, creators online, they are not even thinking about the sound in their video, about music, about sound as not just, like a random audio track for your videos to print cash, generate leads, and all that bullshit, right? No, it's not about that. And you probably have a full team inside your business, a web designer, a copywriter, someone doing your paid ads, social media manager, all that stuff, right? But you have no one who is responsible how your business sounds. Think about this. You are doing everything besides the fundamental thing, sound. And it's not just like, just sound, right? Oh, it's just sound, bro. It's costing you millions, because you don't even realize how much you can elevate your business, how much you can elevate your personal brand if you master the sound, right? Let me give you a few examples. I have a few on my outline. Let's take a podcast. So you have a podcast and no one is listening further than like 3 minutes. Not because the topic that you wanted to talk about was bad, but simply because the sound is just trash. The sound is trash. You might have some reverb in your recording. You might have just trashy microphone or like whatever, right? Think about your video sales letter, right? Let's say you have a conversion rate of like 5%. I'm just making up numbers, by the way, right? So everything is on point. Like you got everything. Your marketing strategy, everything makes sense for your potential audience, for your potential clients, right? But instead of converting, say like 5, 6, 10%, you're converting at 2%, just because your voice sounds cheap, just because your sound is trash, and just because you're not even paying attention to sound as a part of your business. It just sounds like trash. And same goes for all the types of your content, right? You might be making some reels, YouTube shorts, whatever platform you are using. You might get everything right. You might nail the visual. But if the music is just this, stock music, like generic garbage stock music that you just got somewhere, it's just trash. And people are gonna perceive your content as trash. Even this video, look at this video. This is technically not a video, it's just my voice. But it has way more meaning than 99% of content on YouTube, because people are mentally masturbating to everything besides the sound. Because let me be clear, just having a good mic is not going to get you anywhere in 2026 and going further 2027. Everyone has a good mic, but no one has a good sound. No one has a sound that makes people buy, right? Almost no one. Yeah, sure, some people are using some music, some sound effects, but it's still trash. There's literally no one who you can watch on YouTube and genuinely be inspired by, like, wow, absolutely amazing sound design, music selection, and so on and so on. And another thing This is going to be slightly different. Imagine that you are recording a voice note for your client and you sound not very confident, but not because that you are actually not confident, but just because you don't realize, you don't hear, and you do not notice the small details, nuances of your voice, the vibration of your voice. And my friend, you're wasting money, and you are losing money and wasting money right now in this present moment, just because you don't realize how important this sound is for your business. And the most funny thing, most of you bitches don't even realize that this problem exists. You're so busy mentally masturbating to your KPIs, to your ads, to your what are the other examples of this language? LTV, cost per click, all that fucking garbage, right? And you're probably thinking, okay, so everything is fine with my business. And it's like a person who never experienced an actual good sound system thinking that a Bluetooth speaker for like $30 is okay. So I want to show you that in this video. So let's go a little bit deeper. So what does tone deaf in business means, and what I mean by saying this. So tone deaf is not about like your inability to hear something. It's inability, but I would say like an untrained skill to identify little nuances of the sound, right? So in music, you might hear a difference between a good mix and a flat mix, right? Between a harsh sound and a pleasant sound. I'm not going to go very deep in this video specifically, because this one is more about mindset, but I'll make more of these videos on my channel. And same in business, right? You're not really realizing that your voice just sounds kind of dead, flat. Your brand sounds dead, flat. Your content sounds like shit, right? It's like being a chef who is not able to feel the taste of the food, right? You can follow a recipe, you can copy everything, but you're never going to create something that is going to resonate with people. You're never going to create a piece of art. And well, nobody ever told you that you could train your ears, right? Because most of you who are doing business, those of you who see yourself as like, oh, like I'm this like high level entrepreneur, and you might be you might be making good money, and on a paper everything could be perfect, right? But really, no one is teaching you how to hear. Not in school, not in the business university, or like whatever, right? No one. But your hearing, it's literally like a second brain. It's the way that you perceive reality. And most people, they are fucking tone deaf, just because they don't give a shit about training their ears. I'm gonna give you an example. It's gonna be a metaphysical, spiritual example. And also it kind of goes well with quantum physics. So at the fundamental level, our reality is just pure vibration. And the only difference between, let's say, a stone and, I don't know, a human being is just the rate of vibration. But if you zoom in to the fundamental level, all the atoms are basically just a vibration. So 99.99999% of atom it's empty. Like everything is vibration, and everything has a specific vibration. Your business is not just, you know, a number in like a subscriber follower count on your social media, a number in your bank account, or anything in your fucking Excel spreadsheet, all the stats, right, that you're mentally masturbating to. It's just vibration. And your brand, it transmits that vibration frequency. Your voice is also a vibration. Your content is also a vibration. And if you're not really hearing the vibration, you cannot even tune it. So you're basically transmitting this, I'm going to give you the analogy, this plastic, cheap, hollow kind of vibration. And I want to give you a slightly different example. Let's imagine that your content is like a radio station, like a wave that you're transmitting to the reality. So if you're transmitting this cheap ass, lazy kind of approach when it comes to your sound, think about what your audience is going to hear. And then no one is going to resonate with it. And your client is not going to understand this on the intellectual level, but people feel that. People feel that. They feel a bad sound. They feel a lazy sound design. Because they embody the body of your audience. They understand it. And before they even make a decision to continue watching or to reach out or to, buy your product, they already have decided, oh, this guy sounds like trash. Well, no thanks. Because sound is something that you don't intellectualize. You just hear that and it goes right into your brain. As opposed to image. And you can take the image out of my video, so turn the image off, right? And it's still gonna make sense. It's still gonna land, because there's a fundamental vibration in my voice. There's a fundamental frequency, and the thing that I'm saying right now, the vibration, the frequency that I'm translating to you, so you can understand it, right? And when you don't know how to tune your voice, then you don't know how to change your sound to persuade people. Not manipulate, right? Not manipulate. You can work with the sound in a way that it just, it lands with your audience. It just gets right into their brain without any manipulation. It's going to be 100% ethical and 100% stylish as well, because it's going to be your sound. But you don't even realize this. And think about this. You might be losing clients not because your product is bad, but because of your sound. Well, it might sound a little bit absurd for some of you, and it's going to be two categories of people. Some people are going to just, skim through like, oh, it's not important. Go fuck yourself. And the second type of person, you will think about what I just said, right? You will think about what you just said, because it can fundamentally change your life and change your business, the way that you see this reality, the way that you run your business. So let's go to the block number 3, and where you might be losing money, right? So I'm gonna give you a few specific examples. Let's talk about the video sales letter, the webinar, the sales call, whatever. So your voice is about like 50 to 70% of trust that you build, and then the copy, the text on the landing page or in the webinar. So if your voice sounds like trash, you're just losing people on the entry point, just because your microphone is trash, or just because you have like a cheap fucking reverb in your recording, right? Or just because maybe you didn't process the vocal correctly and it still sounds like trash, right? Or maybe you don't even know how to talk to a microphone, like the position of the microphone, right? Because that's the psychoacoustics. And this is something that I learned over the years of, working with sound, producing music, recording instruments, recording my voice, and so on and so on. The second example is going to be your content. So say you're spending hours, or your video editor spends hours on color grading, subtitles, graphics, 3D graphics, whatever fucking graphics, right? And then what you're just doing is you're blindly throwing the first track that you find on the internet somewhere onto this project. And your premium video is now a trashy fucking mass market piece of shit. Garbage. Because the music doesn't land into the tempo, into the rhythm of your video editing. Because the track itself is trash. And you're not even hearing that difference. Example number 3. It's going to be YouTube and podcast. if you have a bad sound, people are just not going to listen, because people can tolerate a bad image, but almost no one will tolerate a bad sound. Because you can get a good sound for not a lot of money. Like, it doesn't cost you a lot of money to actually get a good microphone, a good acoustics in your room where you record. But people gonna drop off because it is physically uncomfortable. So you are investing all your money into, guests on your podcast, into the production quality, into the paid ads, and then you're just killing everything with your sound. And again, a good mic is not enough. Anyone can buy a fucking good mic, but almost no one can manipulate the sound in a way that it actually gets into the brain of your audience. It persuades them without even, trying, without manipulating. It's just like a vibe that people get. And then the same thing is the overall perception of your brand. Say that they visit your social media, they love the visual design, they love your landing page, but then the moment they turn on your video, it's like, oh my god, this guy's just fucking trash. They have like this trashy reverb, like a bad sound, and so on and so on. And what you're just translating is that you are not investing money in something truly important, right? Another example would be your charisma and the way that you hold yourself. Say that you are on a meeting, on a podcast, in front of people, you're speaking to a room, and your voice is an instrument of persuasion. Your voice is an instrument of which you use to create your reality. And if you're not really hearing all the little nuances of your timbre, of your tonality, of your intonation as well, your speed, you're not really controlling the perception of your audience. You just hope that it's gonna land, or people are just gonna buy. And then what's interesting, people are eager to spend money on coaches, paid ads, all the fucking garbage that doesn't matter. You might be spending thousands of dollars on a web designer, on a copywriter, video editor, spending tens of thousands or like hundreds of thousands of dollars on ads, sure, easy. But actually getting a good sound in your content, in your podcast, oh no, like not even thinking about that. You're not even realizing how big the problem is. It's like a colorblind person, they are not really seeing the red. They don't even realize that this color is actually red, right? Just a random example, but just translates the point really well. And that's one of the biggest traps, right? People think that, that's fine. That's fine. Sound is not important. But it just sounds cheap. And you sound like cheap. I don't give a fuck about how much money you have. You might be like a millionaire, billionaire, trillionaire, whatever, right? But if you sound cheap, you're gonna be cheap ass bitch. So think about this. But now, my friend, I'm gonna give you some actual tips on how to train your ears, and how ear training can actually change your life, right? One good news for anyone who's watching this video is your hearing is actually pretty easy to develop. It doesn't just change like the way that you make your content, but it also changes your mind as well, your brain. So I've put together a few little interesting facts about music producers compared to the regular people, right? So anyone who's producing music, playing instruments, and especially working with sound, for example, like I do on this channel, you have the bigger connection. I'm not quite sure how this is called correctly, but there's like the connection between the left and the right part of your brain. So the left is the logic, numbers, strategy, and the right is intuition and the more like abstract kind of thinking. So when the connection between the left and the right brain is bigger, the left and the right side of your brain, they can communicate faster. and you will be making better decisions. You're going to be making faster decisions, and intuitively you're just going to know. And this is not a metaphor, my friend. It's the literal, factual biology. What that's going to give you in your business is you're going to recognize patterns faster. You're going to recognize the trend before even, people are going to start talking about that. You're going to feel the rhythm of the market, when to launch your product, when to, just accumulate the potential and the energy, when to take action, when to rest, and so on and so on. And you're going to identify and feel the client, partner, the actual emotion, and not the surface level shit. Because a lot of people, when it comes to communication, it is not 100% transparent, and it's not 100% authentic, right? And you're gonna realize this, like micro shakiness, let's say like micro shakiness if someone isn't confident in business situations. Say someone is selling you some shit, like an investor is selling you something, or like offering you something, but you're just gonna notice like, oh, this guy doesn't really sound confident, because your ears are trained. And then another big one is the rhythm, your ability to hear the rhythm. And rhythm is not just, in music. It's like, you can apply this to all areas of your life, in life, in business. And most of entrepreneurs, founders, creators, business owners, however you want to call yourself, you're hustling 24/7. Oh, pushing. You're not even able to identify when to push and when to just, kind of chill. Constantly grinding, constantly rushing. You're not really able to identify your rhythm. You're not really able to hear your soul, to, just actually feel the signals of your body, the signals of your mind. And someone who is making music, playing instruments, like in the track, right? If you listen to classical music or any good music, there's going to be the time when the intensity of the song is going to be intense, right? So you feel that when to pause, when to introduce something, when to go harder, when to go chill, right? And for example, I pause. What a lot of business people don't understand, pause, or like inaction, is the biggest thing that you can do. Because when you are still, when you just sit in silence, in stillness, you are accumulating the potential. You don't have to constantly rush 24/7. And think about, would music exist without pauses? No. But a business cannot exist without a pause. And when you're not really following your own internal rhythm, you're just gonna burn out. And you might lose interest because you're constantly pushing, you're not really feeling. But the good news is, about everything that I just said, you can train that. Now, oh my God, this is going to be a long one. I was expecting it's going to be shorter, but that's fine. We have 2 more blocks, actually pretty interesting. So the next point is, your taste is your unfair advantage. And this is what a lot of people don't get in life and in business. You can apply this to any area in your life. So when you have a developed hearing for music, it automatically means that you have a developed taste. This is not subjective. This is literal. When you start hearing the nuances that other people don't really hear, or they don't see, or they don't feel, right? You get an unfair advantage. Here's an analogy. Think about playing a vinyl record on a really good system, and then you're gonna be playing a trashy MP3 from a fucking Bluetooth speaker in a room full of fucking reverb, right? And most people are gonna say like, oh no, the difference is not that big. But you're gonna hear the warmth of the sound, you're gonna feel the texture, the air, like all these little nuances. And that's gonna translate to all areas of your life. So people who are not able to identify these nuances, people who don't have a trained ear, they are just, they are not really seeing the life. They are not seeing the nuances. And it's really easy to manipulate these people. People who have developed hearing, you are more in tune with your reality, right? And this is one of the most interesting things that I started realizing. People with a lot of money very often are not really feeling the taste of life. And again, I have nothing against, making a lot of money or anything like that. It's just something to think about. So I want to give you this very abstract analogy. So think about this. Let's imagine I have a magic wand, and I'm gonna offer you two options. Option number one. Let's say you get, I don't know, billion, 10 billion, like the biggest number that you can ever have, right? But you're not gonna hear the nuances of life. And not just in terms of the sound, but like generally. Let's say you have a lot of money, but you have a trashy taste. And there are a lot of people like that, with a lot of money, but they look and they live like fucking spiritual destitutes, like spiritual peasants. No style, no aesthetic. You have billions, but you look ugly, so what's the point? Right? And then option number two, so you have more than enough. Like you have more than enough. I'm not gonna give you like an exact amount, or just for contrast, let's say that's gonna be like 10, 20, 100 million. It could be just 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million, right? Just significantly smaller from this, from the perspective of a business owner, right? And if you're choosing option one, you are fucked, my friend. You are fucked. You are absolutely wasted. You are a fucking spiritual peasant. Don't watch my videos. Fucking click off and never come to my channel again. Right? But seriously, if you're choosing option one, you don't really understand how big of an advantage I developed hearing really is. It's absolutely insane. Because when you got taste is something that money cannot buy. You can have billions, trillions, whatever is the number, right? But if you have no taste, you're always gonna feel like a spiritual fucking peasant. And when you have no taste, your brand has also no taste. So what's the point? When someone has a taste, whether that's, a personal taste, a taste in their brand, in whatever, people feel that. People feel that and they cannot really explain it. Think of Apple. Apple is not just selling you an iPhone. They are selling the experience, the operating system, the design, everything. They are selling you the experience. And it is not random. When someone has a developed sense of taste, they can build an absolutely amazing product. And if you don't have a taste, yeah, sure, you can make a lot of money, but your product is trash and you are fucking trash too. So think about this. And the best thing about everything that I just said, you can train this. You can train this. This is a skill like any other skill. So maybe it's the time to think about this. If you have spent so much time on your business, but you have spent no time actually investing in yourself, oh, my friend, that's the biggest mistake that you can ever make, right? So closing the video, I have a couple of final thoughts for you. So let's summarize everything. You are tone deaf, and it is not about your ability to sing or to play instruments or to hear music. It's more about you not really hearing all these layers, all the nuances of your reality that is affecting your life. It's affecting your mental state. It is affecting your money as well. And what you're losing right now is might be conversion in your content, conversion in your podcast, your watch time, And all that is because you have a trashy sound, or just not, or just like a regular normal sound. This is also a kind of fucking boring thing. And same thing goes for how people perceive your brand, right? And it's such a ridiculous thing when, you're worth millions, or again, just insert your number, but you sound like trash. And this is where the trust breaks, because your frequency, your vibration doesn't really resonate with your price for your services, for your business, and so on, right? And the main thing that I want to say here is your inability to feel the rhythm of your life, or to feel your life in general. You can spend 10 more years on business, on money, on status, and then just at some point you realize that you were tone deaf about what your body was signaling to you, deaf about what other people around you feel, deaf to your intuition. You build an empire, but it sounds like plastic, cheap, flat, hollow, because you didn't hear. But the good news is you can train that in any age. Doesn't matter if you never produced music, if you never played an instrument. And I'm not really saying that everyone should become musicians. I'm just saying that when you develop your hearing, it is not a hobby. It is your technology, the way that you perceive this reality. And if you want to build a life that you actually enjoy, not just a empty, soulless cash printing machine, and what you call an empire or business, where you don't really live, you just exist, you function inside your business like a soulless algorithm. Start to hear, start training your ears. The outside world is noise, your inner world is a signal. So train your ears, train your life. If you want to train your ears, if you want to build a business that you actually enjoy and get paid to exist, then watch this video next here. I'll see you in the spirit circle.